The legacy of Adam and Eve is not a family tree. It is, in reality, a cosmological map. Two trajectories, moving forward from the same catastrophe, building in opposite directions, producing two fundamentally different kinds of world. And the further each line extends, the clearer it becomes that what is actually being documented is not the history of two families. It is the architecture of every civilization that follows. Now, watch where the first line goes. The line of Cain, it does not stay small. It moves through the generations with a specific and recognizable momentum. Cain wanders and the ground refuses him. The curse is precise. The earth knows who he is and what he has done. It, after all, received the blood of his brother. But he does not sit in exile and grieve. He builds. And the direction that he builds is up. Not in prayer, not in offering. The sky rejected him, and the ground has been foreclosed to him permanently. So he constructs his own vertical axis under his own power, by his own name, without Elohim. He names a city after his son, because if heaven will not give him permanence, he's going to carve it into the earth himself. This is the answer of the Cain line to the silence of a God who would not exalt him on his own terms. He goes out from the presence of Adonai, and he settles in the land east of Eden. And this land, it has a name, Nod. This is from the same root as the curse spoken over him. You, Cain, will be a wandering wanderer on the earth. The land isn't a destination. It is the archetypal condition of one who is permanently lost. He is not settling somewhere new. He is settling inside the condition that his focus and orientation produced for him. Wandering is not what he does in Nod. Wandering is Nod, and he builds a city there. A man cursed to wander, building walls to stop the wandering, making a civilization out of the one movement available to him when Eden has been permanently lost to him. He is no longer generating sacred space. He's replacing it. Then enter Lamech. 6 generations down that line, and Lamech is where Cain pattern reaches its full and terrible expression. One wife is not sufficient for Lamech. He grasps, he clutches, and he takes, acquiring for himself 2 wives. He then kills a young man for a wound, and then he does something that should stop you cold in your tracks. He lifts up his own voice and exalts himself. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for striking me. If Cain is avenged 7-fold, then Lamech 77-fold. He is not confessing, and he is certainly not grieving. He is composing. He turns the killing into literature, into a story of self-celebration, into a public declaration of the invincibility of Lamech. And then he does what the Cain line has been building toward since the first city rose from the cursed ground. He sets his own name equal to the name of God. Cain received a 7-fold protection from Adonai. Lamech declares 77-fold for himself. The nachash in the garden was careful. Subtle, he could not compel. He had to suggest and to maneuver, to exploit the orientation of man's focus and to slip through the unguarded arbitrary it created. The nachash needed guile because he did not yet have authority. But Cain's legacy runs forward unchecked. The nachash does not stay small. By the time it reached Lamech, the nachash has become a tannin, the dragon, the one who no longer needs to whisper from the shadows. He sits on a throne and sends his word out as law. Pharaoh wears him on his crown, not hiding what he is, but institutionalizing it. making the serpent the symbol of sovereign power and identity, putting it on his forehead as a declaration. The man, made to bear the image of God, is now bearing the image of the serpent, enthroned over a civilization that runs on forced labor of the image bearers who receive nothing back. Babylon will look like this. Rome will look like this. Every civilization built by the man who has made himself sovereign, who sends his own word out as law, who takes the labor of those beneath him and gives nothing back, who wears the serpent on his own crown bearing its image, is anti-Eden. The dragon enthroned is not frightening because he is powerful. He is frightening because he has become his own reference point, the judge of what is good and what is evil, and he no longer needs anything outside himself to confirm it. The map was drawn before Cain ever raised his hand. God told him directly, sin is crouching at the door, and its desire is to consume you, but you must rule over it. That is the map. That's the whole game. The crouching thing at the door is the nachash in seed form, patient, low, waiting for the aperture the man will leave open. And the man was told, he was warned, he was given the exact coordinates of the threat and the instructions for meeting it. You must rule over it. Cain did not rule over it. The Cain line is the full generational consequence of that failure. The crouching thing that was not ruled, becoming the city, becoming the throne, becoming the dragon, enthroned above an anti-Eden that grows larger and more powerful and suffocates life with every passing generation. But there is another legacy. Seth, the placed one, Enosh, his son, the frail one, the immortal one, the one whose name is the Hebrew word for humanity in its creaturely insufficiency. Not the builder, not the sovereign, not the man who knows, not the acquirer, the man who understands with every fiber of his being that he does not have what it takes on his own terms. And it is in the days of Enosh that men began to call upon the name of Adonai, not claim it, not to set their own name alongside it, but to call forth to it. This is what guards the aperture. Not the open hand as a technique, but the rightly orientated vision, the focus that leaves hands open rather than closed. The Seth line does not run the seeing, desiring, taking sequence forward. It runs it in the other direction. The man looks up rather than outward. He sets his desire toward what he cannot produce. And from that orientation, from that rightly directed seeing, the calling comes. The ground is still cursed for this line. That does not change. The sweat is real. The thorns are very real. And the labor is hard and long. And the land of promise is not visible from where any of us are standing. But the ground yields its strength. This is what the dragon on his throne cannot produce. Lamech can take, he can accumulate, he can enforce, he can legislate violence over the land and set his name equal to God's and build the most impressive structures in the known world, and sit at the center singing about his own invincibility. But the sacred space does not generate through a closed eye and a clenched hand. Every man is somewhere on this map right now. The crouching thing is certainly at the door. The question is, will he rule over it or become its avatar? And whether the civilization this man is building, his household or his work, the space that he has been entrusted to guard and tend, will become the civilization of the anti-Eden, or will the image of Elohim be carried forward? The name that is called upon, the name that blesses the ground that yields to a man who knows he is not God.